I said I would do 24 things in 2024 and then I put a video on YouTube. So let's do that. Let's start with number 2 on the list, the collage. Never made one, no idea where to start, so great place to begin. By the way, here is a link to that video just in case you haven't seen it. So this one is on my list because of a specific scene in the movie The First Time, which came out in 2012, and the protagonist makes a collage on the whole wall. But there's no way my landlord would be okay with me defacing his property. So instead, let's get a tiny canvas which we can hang up later and a bunch of supplies and we can get started. That was easy. Since I've been so enamored with sunsets and sunrises lately, I think it just makes sense that I start there. So let's make that our theme. Let's make a dramatic sunset and have a few structures in the background and have a few structures in the foreground. Make a little silhouette. It sounds simple enough. So here's the scene. It needs purple, the clouds need to be bright like red or pink, and a little silverish, goldenish lining at the bottom of the clouds, and then a silhouette of a city. And a tree or two maybe. Let's cut them pieces and make them fit. The purple's in the background, so it doesn't need to be a specific shape. Then there are the clouds. I'll cut them in circular pieces so they look like round, deep clouds. And the silver linings will be little crescents. And everything else is blue. I'm a little annoyed with this glue because I get to apply it with one strip once and then it immediately disintegrates on contact with the glue. The paper started showing wrinkles when I applied it in long patches, probably because of the glue. So I cut the uniform blue sky in tiny little pieces to add a little bit of texture to it, although I'm not really sure if this is the right texture. You know what? This calls for a little change in outfit. I might need some lessons in makeup. But this is a vibe, so let's go. I cheated a little and found sunset skies from the magazines and simply pasted them to the collage. Now comes the silhouette. For the buildings, I want darkish shades of blacks with some kind of texture. Not necessarily jet black, but as close as possible. For the trees, I will find darker greens. This part turned out to be the most difficult to cut because apparently I can't cut with a pair of scissors and won't use an X-Acto knife. Not to mention the excessive glue did not help. This bit, which by the way is one of the last bits in the whole collage, is when I realized that I needed a literal setting sun in the background. Fortunately, the glue was wet and I was able to get the piece I wanted in place. Move the electrical pole because it literally merged in the tree. It's not a problem per se, but I would like for it to have its own identity. Fortunately, this is a collage, so I simply added more sky above it. I pulled out my tweezers for these microscopic pieces, topped the urban silhouette off with some lights. Ta-da! That was so anticlimactic. So here's what I've learned from making this collage. In hindsight, using paper to stick glue to canvas was a bad idea. I should have used something with more material integrity like a plastic spoon or an ice cream stick or something of that effect. Ideally it would have been a brush, but this seemed a little too low maintenance to buy a brush for. The second one is I should have applied the background completely before I applied the foreground, because as you can see there are little tiny pieces where there is just no paper at all and it looks bad when I look at it up close. third would have been to not apply glue so liberally. And because I did, some parts of it shrunk. I guess it's not a big noticeable difference. Maybe I will do better next time. And the last one, which I think I learned through the process, is to make sure that you account for the textures of the scrap paper. Like for example, this piece just looks like a leaf, whereas this piece, even though it's from like a completely different thing, still looks like it has, like it's part of the cloud. Okay, 2 down, 22 more to go. It feels like I'm going to school in the wrong decade, but vibe. I mean, recording a little bit of this, but we should hang this one up whenever I come back. Kind of nice. So happy.